Oh, we're live? We're streaming right now? Cool. Awesome, man. Let me just
Everybody, welcome to a little updated interface here for Pantheon PlusYou. Welcome to episode 33. We're going to be talking about the April dev stream that we just all witnessed. I'm happy to hear that other people are seeing this fine. Mushy, I'm sorry you're not seeing it. Can't explain why that's happening, so apologize. So we did get a little updated interface here. We have a bigger section for the chat. We're actually showing how many people are on. If you guys throw some emotes in, we threw in the new emote wall. It's actually above the chat. So any emotes you throw in, it's pretty fun. They all bounce around like crazy. Like here, I'll throw a bunch of minus heads in, but that'll happen throughout the chat. So anybody who does that, they'll all just bounce around. You can do multiple. So just a little more community interaction. We wanted to clean this up a bit. I got some borders going on. We highlight a little bit more the people who are following and subbing. Just tiny little things that we want to do. So you guys will be able to have a little fun with it. The other thing that we've done too is you guys can see all the different commands that we feature here. We cleaned up our command system quite a bit. Oops, it's commands. See, I can't even do it myself. That'll tell you all the different things you can do. When we're doing Pantheon, it's pretty much Discord and Pledge. Pledge will show you how to get to Pantheon's website, and it'll take you to the Pledge page. Negative, thank you for following. So that's there. But the other really cool thing is we always do where you can jump into the green room, come live on the air and talk about the topics on hand. And then we'll have a meter there when we don't do a whiteboard. So you guys will see the meter on the right side that we'll be setting up. People who come on and talk will be able to come on in and move the bar themselves, right? Like the people who come on and talk. But what we've also been trying to do is find a way to let you actually vote from the chat. And we've done different things where you guys can hit, yes, no in there, and it makes it crazy. But I'll show you guys real quick. We're actually going to fire this up, and you guys will be able to do this in 1 second. And we can go ahead and start this. So you guys will see a live poll, which is now up beside me there. So you guys can actually vote, and it'll show you how to vote next to each thing. So if you thought it was a great stream from VR, exclamation point vote space great, vote space average, vote space below. So as you guys vote in the chat there, that's actually going to update. And then at the end of the stream, we'll actually take that data and we'll adjust the meter so that the chat can actually be a part as well in case you're someone who doesn't want to come on the air. So we're trying to get a lot more interactive, I guess you'd say, on letting you guys do a little bit more on the stream. So just tiny things like throwing emotes out there, the chat being bigger, a little more highlight for people that are following, but now being able to vote and affect the meter as the show goes on. You'll see that move around. So a pretty neat little thing. We're going to add a lot more. This whole show is about community. So we're trying to have more fun things you guys can do while you're on the show. So let's get down to business because I want to talk to you guys. We're already having people come into the green room. We got Drac in there, Erikai. We have Hoye. So there's a ton of room in there for you guys to jump in and chat. But let's jump in to the dev stream. Now we did get all the images uploaded. So let's go ahead and throw some stuff up here. And let's start with the first image that we saw. For anybody who jumped in late to the dev stream, the one thing that you guys will see here is that we're going to see gray boxes. These are all gray boxes, but they're very fleshed out in what we're going to see. So this is what they've been talking about for a while with the Living Codex. We have the abilities on the left, and when they pick Mantle of Tides, like you see there, the right page goes into a full detail of Mantle of the Tides. You're seeing the cost, the range, the cast time, everything right there. And if you guys notice, because the spells have been cut down, which we actually heard in the last few streams, we actually now have different tabs for different things. So you'll see they threw the quest journal in there, which we'll look at. The abilities and spells are separate. So it's a pretty neat all-in-one interface thing. And I know that a lot of people aren't super excited about interfaces, but if I'm going to be completely honest with you, this kind of stuff's really important. How many menus do you have to go through just to do something? If it's in one simple menu and you can jump around real easy, then it's awesome. So yeah, anyone who votes, if you vote once, it'll put it there. You can vote as many times as you want, but it won't give you another vote. And if you vote for something else, it takes it away. I was testing it earlier. We'll see how well that works. I know that one guy said, I was able to vote twice. It doesn't actually let you. Okay. So what's really cool about this is that you're able to see everything in one place. Now I'm going to actually jump right from this real quick to the second picture of the book, because this is where they go into the second tab. So we were in detail. Now we're in mastery. it's really neat that you're going to be able to see everything. You're going to see the cost level. It shows you how much mastery points you have above it. And you can see, they were talking about this being brought to life where you can actually see your pathing before you make your decisions. So this book is going to be a really living and breathing thing that you can actually really look into and go pretty big into detail about where you want to specialize your spells and things like that. So I like the changes here. It's clean, it's neat, it's having everything in one place, again, is really big to me. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea to see interface stuff, but I thought it's a really nice step, and it ties in very greatly to the overall concept of what they're trying to achieve, and these systems aren't just being thrown in, right? Like the level of detail on every single thing is a really big sign of how important each development decision is in making the game. And that's something that we should all be able to agree on is a really good thing. When you're putting this much thought into what your spell book looks like and how effective it's going to be and how important it will be to you through the course of playing the game, they're not just throwing something in, here you go, this works, that's fine. It's more than working. They want it not just to work, they want it to be effective. They want it to be meaningful. And having things be meaningful is what's going to make us enjoy the game more. If everything we do is there for a purpose. So it's, to me, that's pretty neat. So the next thing they showed, and see if there's anything I wanted to really highlight. If they didn't really talk about it, but if you see too, there's the macro section. In the past, they've talked about being able to actually macro right in the spell book. So you can have a version of your spell, and then you can go and make a macro version of that spell for different points and purposes. So like if you're in a group or in a raid and you have certain things that are going to shout out in raid, you can grab that version of the spell and throw it onto your bar, which is pretty neat. So just cool things that you're seeing there. A lot of it we've covered in the past. So let's go ahead and move into the inventory system. So pretty exciting stuff here. The inventory system has a lot here. Even on this first page, they talked about how they switched the anatomical look at how you're equipping there. There's the mastery bars now included in the right-hand side there. So you'll see your level bar and also your mastery bar are going to be right in there. Then you guys are already talking about it, which is pretty funny. But the coin that we're seeing there, so you have copper, silver, platinum, and an unannounced currency level, and it's a 100-to-1 exchange rate. So what's really cool about that is that you're going to actually have, there's some people who don't like this, but if you get a bunch of silver, you're going to keep getting silver. It's not just going to auto convert. So you'll have to go to a bank and you'll have to switch over your stuff at a bank. Or I remember back in the day, people would switch over your stuff for you. Like they would actually have the ability to like be running out in the world and say, hey, I'll change out your silver for gold, but you have to tip me. So you could actually like earn money just running around. Maybe you're a crafter and you're out crafting and gathering mats, but you actually say to people like, hey, you know, like I'll be glad to bank for you for a little extra gold, a little extra, whatever you're going to give them. So it's kind of an interesting community aspect that creates a little bit of social atmosphere. Not everyone may be a fan of that, but you're going to have to deal with it. And I think it will create a positive structure to that, so to speak. And now I see you guys talking about it. Coin weight. So coin weight comes into play huge with that, right? Anybody who played EQ, you'll probably think back to the days of chasing around Boot Strutter, was his name Haston, with all the copper on you because you were trying to get J boots, and it was a nightmare because of over encumbrance. So we're going to see that again, right? And people are laughing. I love it. That memory will never go away from me. That's a huge one. So, so that looks like we'll see something similar to that. Now, it was brought up that they're not sure what they're going to do with classes that may benefit from lower weight, like a monk. So we can't get into a ton of detail on that, but we do know that they're thinking about it and that there may be, that it may affect you. You may have a weight, or they may test it and think it doesn't feel well. And they've also said something important here. And Ben Dean actually jumped in and said, you know, tons of input has led to them adding the coin weight, making it, you know, again, banks matter. But as they get into pre-alpha 5 and then continue to drive into further testing, if it doesn't feel good, they've openly said, listen, we'll change it. We'll make it feel good. We're not trying to make it super punishing, but we're trying to make it meaningful. And there's a very fine line between punishing and meaningful. And if you can find that, I think most people will be fine with coin weight, even if maybe it takes you a little time to adapt. If that makes any sense. So let's go ahead and jump into well, I don't know if there's anything else here. You can see your resistances very on demand with your stats. You guys can see the ranged and defense are picked there. So we can assume that there's going to be melee and some other different categories that we can adjust between with the ranged or defense categories there to see stats. So you can probably customize that depending on how your character works. Maybe like your spell casting ability, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of neat that you'll be able to put up different stat sets and really get into your sets. So I'm a big numbers guy. My name's Minus. I mean, let's be honest here. So any stats like this, I'm a pretty big fan of. So we'll see here. And it says let's get into some of the chat. You guys are talking about this. Old Wargoat says D&D had coin weight, so that's why not? I'm all for it. We have some people who've said Sacred said he wasn't a fan. I don't have the exact quote in front of me. He refuses to turn auto split off. Let's see here. We have Mikhail says big fan of coin weight, feels true to immersion. I like that a lot. And Theric, thank you for linking that Discord there for anyone who wants to jump in and get into the green room. We still have some open slots, so feel free. So let's go ahead and jump to the next picture here. And this is a second look at the inventory system. And in this, it was really a deep conversation and a talk on acclimation. And I'm really curious to see what you guys think about that, whether you're in the chat or you come into the green room and talk. That's something I want to get more in depth on. We've talked about it before, but it is going to be a huge part of this game. So it's really important that we understand it, that we ask the questions, and that we're giving our feedback on it as they develop it, in my personal opinion. So in this, we saw, obviously, there's the 6 different acclamations, and the way Joppa worded it is that these are the 6 acclamations that'll be at launch. To me, that paints that we're going to see more in the future, which is nice. It's a growing system. We may experience something in an expansion where a new zone and a new type of atmosphere comes in. That's pretty interesting. They explained the equipping of these acclamations as sort of like magically imbued runes, tattoos, pieces that you have on your body, and they'll vary in type. As you can see here, the types are pressure, toxic, frigid, anaerobic, wind shear, and scorching. And then you can see that we actually, for the first time, have gotten word on this natural acclimation. And it's interesting because when I first saw this, I actually thought that the natural acclimation was going to be like your passive, but it's not. So you'll have passive, natural, and your equipped acclimation, which is going to be a varying form of runes and glyphs and gear and all of that stuff, which is pretty interesting. The interesting part too is that they said, you're going to be able to get to like 200 in one of them, and that's going to be like max acclimation. And that's fine. Like fighting through like frigid just by itself, most people will be able to easily handle, right? Like you can handle it, no problem. But it's the fun, it seems, at least when he was talking Joppa about this, is that when it comes to the combinations and what they're going to be able to do with the challenge of throwing 2 or 3 acclimation processes at you. And that's where you're going to really have to decide. You're going to have to say to yourself, like, do I want to protect myself from frost? Because that's going to hurt me the most. I can get through what the toxic might do to me. I'm okay with that. It'll be a little more healing, but whatever. But, I can't get blown around, so I'm going to stop wind shear. It'll be interesting to see how groups, when you form to either go into a dungeon or a raid, you kind of play out, okay, what is going to happen here? And if it's phases of acclimation, maybe a set of healers do one thing and another set do another, so that when, let's say, half your healers are in trouble due to a phase of acclimation or something like that, the other half are fine. So it's going to be very big strategy, in my opinion. It looks like Mikkel says natural acclimation is a really nice touch. Did they say up to 20%? It's showing, I believe up to 20%. So you can assume you can get up to 40 would be my guess, right? Because 200 seems to be the cap of where you need to be, at least for now. And that can obviously change as well. Idiotech says, maybe you just do not have a shaman to buff you, so you really need to up your poison resist. Yeah. And that's something interesting too, because they talked about that. Acclimation and resistances are going to be completely different, which is interesting, right? So you can have resistance to poison, but that's not going to give you acclimation to toxic. So kind of interesting there. And if it goes up to 20, which is what you guys are talking about now, Hoyer's talked about it, Theric threw something out there. If it's up to 20, it would be a 10%. Yeah, because 20 out of 200. Math. Yay. So interesting stuff there. Glyphs are not going to be permanent, but they brought up legendary glyphs that you can reuse. So I can tell you those are going to be heavily farmed. If it's a way to farm them, I will be there because that is awesome. The combination of having your gear, your natural, your passive, and these glyphs are going to be really neat. But the fact that they break, this tells me, I don't know any secrets. I think you're going to see them tied into crafting in some senses. So I think that that's really going to help the crafting community that they break. Because if they didn't break, then making something once for everybody is not a market. But if they have to continuously replace them, that's a market. And if you can build a market off of it for crafting, that's going to be really cool. So I do hope that the crafters are helped by being a part of this system and tying them into the community for it, which would be really cool. Real quick, if you just jumped in and haven't been here before, we just threw up a live poll on the screen. If you type ! Vote great, ! Vote average, or ! Vote below, rate what you thought of the stream, the dev stream. Did you think it was a great stream? Was it average, kind of where you expected it? Or did you not really enjoy it or do you want more? You guys can do that all throughout the night. It's going to total right on the screen, and we'll tie that into the meter over there. So, and again, it's ! Vote, and then space the word. You'll see it on the right next to me here on the actual poll. It shows how to do it. So cool. So let's see what else here. We talked about the gear. Let's go ahead and talk real quick here about the quest log. So let's throw that up. And as you guys come into the green room or you want to talk about something, just let me know. I can throw that picture back up. Pretty basic quest log, but I did want to read this because he said it would be pretty funny. So bear with me because I didn't read it until now. So it says, talk to Big Bully Boreskins and Hengor. Talk to Galen Jim Grimebeard and Amberfade about soap. Defeat Big Bully Boreskins in the arena in Hengor. Full NPC dialogue goes right here. Oh, yes. Yes, it does. No doubt about it. This here is genuine, bona fide, dyed-in-the-wool, full NPC dialogue without error or erasure. Yes, sirree. Ain't no denying it and might as well accept it. This is the kind of stuff that people do just because they're having too much fun at work. What you're beholding here is indeed the real McCoy. And if anybody else tells you that it isn't, wait, I love this. Why, dang it. Shoot and tarnations, oh plenty, be heaped upon heads like the flaming hot coals of a tavern fireplace, fanned by the rambunctious hooting oblations of a raging buoyant gas bat swarm. Yes, a hot embered gas-powered shindiggery is needed, and may a hot-tempered flaming doom ramathon take place in one's own lounge room at the way thought that this is not real definite full NPC dialogue and the space for it to be here. Oh yes, and a hearty yes indeedy do. Whew. Yes, that is the official return of the gas bat in text. So that was tough to read for the first time. Kyle, if you wrote that, Kyle, that was rough. So, but that's funny. So that's the one thing I know that he said there was some funny stuff there. So is there anything to gain here? We're seeing zones. Joppa said, don't read into it. What do you guys think? We see Anders Pass, Fairthale, Silent Plains, Thronefast, the Veywood, Vale of Azurus, Wild's End, Rainfall, the other continent. I mean, they wouldn't be here for no reason. It's not like he just made up places, I think, right? Are these possibly zones that are in the work, being done or being touched up? I don't know. Just saying. I don't know what you guys think there. One of the continents is missing. He said, don't read into it. Yeah. So interesting stuff there. And when we talk about the quest log, there's not a ton there more to talk about other than it's a pretty basic, and they even said that themselves. But let's talk then a little bit about the things that Kyle had to say. I'm going to go ahead and drop that out. So I'm going to go through this as quick as possible, and I'm going to do it in very short form. If you guys have any questions, please ask in chat. Theric, if you want to take any questions tonight, Theric, from people in the chat, just ping at Theric75 if you guys have a question that you want more answer to or a discussion piece on, and we'll bring Theric in towards the end of the show to kind of go through some of those questions. So let's see here. The bug fixes, the biggest thing that they talked about when they talked about programming and what Kyle's brought to the team is just refactoring everything, right? Let's build the code from the ground up and future-proof it. And this was a huge problem if you're unfamiliar with Vanguard. I'm actually friends with one of the guys that runs the Vanguard emulator. His name's Zinix. Really amazing guy. And he, has all this data that he mined from Vanguard to be able to make this emulation server. So he sees how the code is written, and he has to sort of rebuild a lot of it, because when you harvest the code the way he did, you're not going to have everything, right? So you kind of read through and you start to rebuild and you try to get different pieces that people may have collected. We won't get into that. But the thing is that he said the way the game was built made it almost impossible for future expansions. It was just these databases on top of databases on top of databases, and this networking on it was horrible. And it's just like, he said, man, if you wanted to change one thing, it would break 100. And that's something really important that Kyle talked about. And for those of you that aren't really big into like the discussion points on, let's say, like programming and network code and NetFrame and C#, I get it. I really do. I know that that's not going to tickle everybody's fancy, but let me break down to you why what he said is so important. Because if they built the game like some games have been built, you could try to add one hot fix that's really important and it crashes the whole game. And now you got to go through and figure out why that happened. And it could be the way that the original code was written now needs to be changed. And that can now lead into another thing that would be, difficult to handle. And it just becomes this huge framework of errors where you have to start rebuilding things constantly. And there are games that are built that way, guys. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes they just want to build the game quick and they do it that way. And then you come up with future problems. And that's one of those things where you say, well, future me will handle that. And it becomes a nightmare. So what they're doing now is they're starting at future Pantheon. And that should feel good for a ton of people. They are removing old NetFrame that they've already built and taking some of the code out of the networking side so that programmers can just program without it being directly influenced by the network. It's increased performance for them, which they've said could probably be anywhere from 35% or more performance in large zones with tons of things. And that's really important. When you're talking about an MMORPG, not only do you have all these mobs and all these different players running around and scripted NPCs and enemies and events, the biggest thing is that they need to be able to work. And when you hear 35%, that's massive. Think about every little thing that gets added in the zone, right? And thank you, Sacred, and thank you, Japa. That's I'm trying to do it at a low level here, or at minus level, we'll say. So hopefully that helps you guys understand a little bit more. Is that the way that they're doing this is they're trying to make it so, it's not as simple when you're developing a game that you say, I'm a programmer, I program code. And then I'm a designer and I design art. And then I'm a designer and I do animations. In a lot of games, it crosses everything. And now to do your job, you're taking someone else away from their job. And they really frame that very well. Is that now an artist or a fight designer can design the fight with the node system. If you guys aren't familiar with that, they showed that a long time ago. There was a noding system. It was on the first VR stream, I believe, or maybe the second one where they showed off the whole noding system. Is pretty neat. So you guys can go back and check that out on there. So the noding system allows them to kind of script how things will work. They have a lot more control over how a boss fight will work. All these things are really important. Imagine if they did this and they put the game out and we were playing pre-alpha and we were playing alpha and we were in beta and it didn't work all of a sudden and they had to go back. And could you imagine the delay it would take to restructure all of that? They're doing it now. So a lot of people who are afraid that because there hasn't been a pre-alpha phase, don't be afraid. There is so much internal testing going on and they're not able to test it at numbers. That's maybe sometimes what we worry about, like, oh, let's get players in. It's different than simulations. But what they're doing is building the game right. So when we test it, they can fix it, if that makes sense. So rant over. So let's see here. They talked about getting into the new C# programming. C# is an evolution of C++, for those that know that in the past. It's used mainly as far as C goes. Sharp is pretty much the biggest thing. So they're actually in the newest framework of the newest version of C#. That's good. A lot of games will start developing in a lesser, like let's say even Unity, for example. You'll be in Unity, version 2, and by the time the game comes out, it's in version 4. Are you able to adapt to 4? They're already adapted to the newest C#, which allows them to actually get even more performance. So again, a lot of this is just, it's talking about do it right now because the future will be easy. as easy as it can be. We know that's not really ever easy. So that's kind of just what I was saying. They also said that the CPU testing has been great. That's really important as well. The CPU testing is showing that the network is handling everything because of the way they built it. All that basically means is that things aren't overloading. They're not seeing lag with more and more performance thrown at it. Their servers are running strong. Okay, so let's jump into patch notes, and then we're going to get to you guys. Drac, you'll be first. Hoya, you're second. Erikai, you're third. Chat, you can continue to vote on the poll there. You'll see how to vote right next to each of the words. Great stream. You'll see it in parentheses there, average stream. Below average vote, we're going to use those totals in the meter there once we do it. So patch notes. I didn't catch them all. I'm furiously typing. I was trying to get all the images in. So I didn't catch everything, but I put what I thought was important. So if you guys have something you want to talk about, throw in the chat. First of all, Black Rose Keep updated. Talked about a cave. New orc models. We've seen those orc models, so it'd be really cool to see them in the game. And they kind of hinted that we might see them in a stream soon. I'm really excited for that. Just to see the new model and how they kind of go around, right? Everything is climbable. This was, if you take this whole stream, we've talked about a lot of really important things. We've talked about the programming, so that's probably the most important. But right up at it is the statement. And one of the big things I look for, guys, is I really watch when Joppa talks. I watch when Ben Dean talks. I watch when Ronik talks. And I think out of all of them, you can, if you really watch Ronik, if you really watch Joppa, his facial expressions give away a lot. And Joppa, that's not a bad thing. You can see his excitement. Watch him when he talks. Rewatch the stream and just watch Joppa when other people are talking. When he's talking, watch him. You'll see a lot of different emotion in his face that can tell you when something's really important. And when he was talking about climbing, not only did he say it was important, but look at it in his face. And he made a saying or said something that was really telling. He said, Joppa showed a lot of excitement, is what I put here. But he said that the game felt like how it's destined to be. That is a huge statement. Can you guys imagine that? You're building a game, you're building a shed, you're building a porch, and you're always at this phase where there's all these parts. Or if you're a dad like me, you're building Christmas presents that you want to die, right? You're building all these Christmas presents and you're putting all these pieces together and you're reading the instructions. Like, how does this work? But there's always a moment when you get to putting it together where you can put the instructions to the side and then just start like building it because now you get it, right? And he said that that's kind of what climbing felt like. Like that was something they've been talking about for so long that it's going to be an important piece of the game, that they really want to make sure that climbing isn't just thrown in, it's part of the game. And he even talked about like, you're going to use it to think about like, how do we travel? Like there's this huge thing in front of us. Are we going to go all the way around the world or are we going to climb our way through it? And that was a really cool statement. They didn't answer my question. I want to know if certain classes are going to be able to have safe fall, because if we're climbing that much, God, can we put a good word in for rogue safe fall in a pretty good percentage? Because I'm going to be falling a lot. I don't know about you guys. So at least rogue, other people are fine. So anybody, but yeah. We also talked about they fixed the first pass of the mastery gain system, inventory being put into the game, like the newer model of it. We also fixed the critical hits and damages and attacks and spell power. Formula scaling for max level before buffs. Guys, that's important. Think about that. They're already at a testing point for stats at max level and how they're going to work and how they're going to fight. And Theric, I see what you just put there. You are very lucky. Can everybody light Theric up with some kind of emote for me? Because he's talking about only elves getting safe fall. We all know. I'm just going to throw a bunch of these out there. Let's get the emote wall rocking and rolling here. That's the new edition. So yeah, you're getting a minus head. There is no way that only elves get safe fall. In fact, I don't think they should ever safely fall. They look too delicate. Ronik, I need you to help me on that. I'm going to hype you up as the new dungeon group savior, but Ronik, I need you got to help me tame these elves a little bit, please. We also got, let's see here, the first pass of resistance spells. So again, remember resistances and acclamation are different. So that's important. Eric says, Twitch chat emote spam. Lexer says they only need safe fall because we're going to push them off the tallest cliff. That would make us useless. Why would we be pushing elves off if they're going to fall safely? We can't do that. Let's see here. NPC Chat Bubbles are in. That's pretty fun. They fixed animations being overridden by other animations. That's important. There's games that still play that way. There was a bug that removed your passives when you logged in. Could you imagine if we were playing and we logged in and our passives were gone? That'd be kind of funny. They already handled a lot of the threat refactoring, like how they build threat, how the threat system's being managed. So for you tanks out there, very, very good. And for you rogues out there like me that just go in and DPS like crazy, also good. Improved one-hand auto attack animations, emotes for waving, cheering, conversating, or in the game. And they talked about the monk got a really big animation block check. So animations being added for the monks they said everything, like the different flying kicks. They had, the standing animation. Apparently they're going to have a very nice, Theric. Apparently they're going to have a unique standing animation or an idle animation for being a monk, which is pretty cool. So I like all that stuff. Lots of talk about monk. And so PA5, that's the elephant in the room, right? PA5. You say PA5 and everyone gets like a little, say what? So they talked a little bit about it. I know how a lot of you feel in the community. You're completely justified. I understand that a lot of you think to yourselves, we've heard it for a long time. We've heard soon for a long time. I feel it. I know, guys. I get it. It's going to happen someday. So we have to realize that soon is going to be better than the old soon at some point. But Ben actually said, let's talk about it. And he answered two things. He said, what is really standing in the way of letting people into PA5? Because I think a lot of us in the community say, hey guys, just let us in and let us test, right? But they talked about some of the things here. The AI needs work. They need to get the AI worked on still. They're finalizing some of that. And then they said that the largest block needs to be done on abilities, refactoring them into the node-based system and getting them into the new system. These are things that were done, guys. So think about it. This was done, and it was done the old way, in a way that wasn't going to work for future expansion. They could have let us try that, but again, now they're going and they're building the game in a better, easier way because Kyle's come in and really helped them restructure the game, right? So Kyle is there refactoring a lot of this stuff, basing on the new base system. And once they're all in that, the important piece is that adding new abilities is going to be simple. It's really just getting everything working that was there properly with all the time they put in and into it. So they said that that's the biggest hurdle. Guys, if they just let us into PA5 right now, like we all want to do, but all the abilities aren't working, it wouldn't be a very fun experience for us. And the last thing we want to do is jump into a pre-alpha 5 that we've been like craving for so long, and we can't use half our abilities. It makes sense, guys. But as soon as he was done, he said, we're close. And Joppa smiled. Go back and watch the clip. I should have screen clipped Joppa's face when he said this. He said, we are getting super close to pre-alpha 5. Exact words. We are getting super close to pre-alpha 5. Guys, I think that was a real statement. I don't know what it means, but super close is better than soon. So that's yes, Drac, you got it. Super close, TM. So I was happy to hear that. They did talk a little bit about gnomes, that the base of what you've seen as a gnome is going to stay. And guys, that's because a lot of gnomes are built, they're built on like the gear they're going to wear. Their base model is not really what you're going to see a lot with a gnome. It's a little different than others. So they said that they're really not redoing the whole model, but they are just kind of finalizing it. And then they did ask, can mobs climb everything? It was an interesting discussion from Kyle where he said if a mob makes sense to climb, you're not going to see a wolf climb a ladder, but you may see a spider climb a wall. You may see NPCs just adjust to you climbing. So they're actually building the game with so much climbing in mind that an NPC will pull out a bow or have ranged attacks they may only use when you're climbing, or things to pull you off the wall. So pretty interesting as well there. So let's see here. And Kyle just did make sure to say too, there's no limitation to systems when it comes to getting NPCs to do that, which is important. So it's not a limitation thing. It's what makes sense, which I think is pretty important there. So that covers a lot of what was said in the stream. I'm curious if you guys have things you want to talk about. Like I said, ping at Theric with different things you might have picked up that I missed, or things that maybe meant more to you that is important. And let's go ahead and get to the green room. Before we do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move my meter. And if anybody needs me to pull any of those images back up, just ping me to @Pantheon Plus, and I'll do it. So let's go ahead and move the minus meter. I'm going to say that for a stream that was really based on conversation and very few images, that did a lot for me. My level of excitement is very high. It's actually higher for this than the shaman one, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I guess maybe I'm not a big shaman fan, but I got to tell you, it's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. So I was very excited for that. So let's go ahead and we're going to bring Drac in first. Drac, you are coming live on Pantheon PlusYou, bringing you in now. What's going on, Drac? You were first in there. Thank you for the long wait, buddy. What's going on, man? What'd you think of that?
Overall, I thought it was a pretty good stream.
What stood out for you? What were some of the key things?
Well, I really liked the coin weight. I liked it in EverQuest. I thought it was a good system. I thought it kept people traveling to towns. It gave porters more of a things to do in early EverQuest. I know there's a lot of people that don't like coin weight, cough sacred, but I really like coin weight.
What are we going to do with this guild leader, man? What are we going to do? I mean, we have to appease him because he runs it like a tyrant. And if we don't appease him, we're not going to be able to go on raids and probably take DKP away from us. But what do we do? I mean, maybe we have a secret meeting and kind of talk about how we're going to handle this.
I'm sure Leper is still around somewhere. We can bring him back.
Yeah, he might be tied up somewhere. I think that would probably be important, to be honest. Real quick, I don't want to interrupt you, but there was a conversation Joppa said here in the chat. He said, Sacred has informed me that we still haven't shown the new gnome models. So guys, there are new models out there. So when he said that the models aren't going to be changed, he wasn't talking about what we've seen in the past. There's actually there's beans out there. There's something we haven't seen. So he said there are new gnome models and we'll be showing them soon. So that's cool. So beans, good beans. Thank you for the ping there, Sacred. And thank you, Joppa, for clarifying that. So sorry, Drac, we were kind of talking about things you took away, what you thought. What do you think of the codex really being a bigger hub than originally planned?
The codex was fun. I really like the, like I said, the coin weight, but the glyphs are also super fun. I really like the glyphs and the idea of that they're going to decay, except for like the super rare ones, which you can go, obviously we'll be camping for days or whatever, or hunting all around for these super rare ones. But the other ones will decay and we'll have to farm those up. So if you got a raid Saturday night in the frigid zone, then you got to go camp a bunch of frigid glyphs to go in there.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of the systems coming together, right? And that was the point of Fairthale. It was, how do all our systems work together? The core things we're basing this game off of, how do they work together? And acclamation's obviously a huge one. So pretty awesome. Drac, so you probably voted already, but you're going to start the meter off for us because people who come on to voice, you're going to have a little bit more say on the meter. Then we'll adjust at the end on the votes there. So what do you want to do with this meter?
I like the shaman one a little bit better. So I would put the meter just below the very excited thing. Also, I would like to comment on the quest tab.
Yeah.
I thought that looked like there was a lot of sections for quests. And do you know if they've ever stated if there's a limit to the amount of quests you can get, or is it unlimited? Because that looked like a lot of the way they had that sectioned off. It looks like you get a lot of quests.
Yeah. I got to say, I've not heard anything on that. That is obviously pretty gray boxed where they're just throwing stuff on how it'll look. It's interesting, right? Because we know that Pantheon is not going to be a game you walk into and see, yellow exclamation points everywhere, right? We're not going to see that. So it's interesting that we're going to get quests by kind of interaction, right? And different things that happen in the world. And we're not going to just be led A to B, A to B, A to B, A to B. But you're right. It looked like there's a lot of room to gain a lot of quests in there. Maybe quests are gained from perception. Quests are gained from just talking to people in town or running into something or an event that you see. So it is interesting that you brought that up. Is there a limit to how many you can have? That's an interesting question. I don't think they've addressed that yet. I don't know if it's something they'd be able to answer right now. Kind of interesting, though. That's a good question, Drac.
Cool. Well, that was just my thoughts. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for everything again. And awesome picture. If you guys haven't seen, Drac put out a picture for the team community, worked on it with a few different community members. I think Theric and a few others helped you out. So there is a community poster out there now for team community. So we have a a team minus poster and a team community poster. I'm looking at you, Militus. I'm looking at you, Nathan. Where's your team at? But we'll see. So, Drac, good work on that too, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right, dropping you out. We're going to jump into having Hoye in next. So, Hoye, get ready, and we'll pull you in to talk about tonight's stream. Hoye, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. What'd you think?
It was pretty good. I liked it.
I know you're a meat and potatoes guy a little bit more than a lot of like you tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you're more of a meat and potatoes guy than you are like theory and background stuff. You kind of want to see the classes. You kind of want to see the gameplay. Am I right in saying that, or are you kind of on both?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I enjoy, the background of things, just knowing that it's there, and maybe one day I'll dive into it. But for the most part, I just want the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, that's kind of the reason I brought that up wasn't to like throw you under the bus, but it means like whatever you're going to say here, especially if you enjoyed it, that's big because, you're obviously going to take a class stream over these any day. And I think a lot of people would. But so what stood out to you in this stream before you jump into if you liked it or not? What stood out? Like, what were your main takeaways from this?
Biggest takeaway, obviously, meat and potatoes is coin weight.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny too because I'm not really an RPer. Like I'm not like Brass. I'm not gonna really get into character and that kind of stuff. But there's something about putting your copper in there when you're a little scrub, and then when you get older, you put your platinum in there. I don't know. It kind of the immersion just kind of grows on that. I like it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is immersion doesn't always have to be role playing, and I think, and I'm not saying you confuse it, but I think some people confuse it. In every MMO you play, you can put your money in the bank, right? And 90% of them, why would you? Right? So like, why is that feature there?
Yeah, nobody does, and it's just. I think it also brings a lot of light into certain classes differences. Like a little feeble mage is gonna be bugging the warrior in their group to, hey, can you hold all my stuff, please? And so I think it just kind of brings another little I don't know, flavor to the classes.
Yeah, if you're like a hulking tank or a paladin, you probably have a lot more weight capacity depending on how your stats are, so you can carry around. Oh yeah, maybe what you need to do as a warrior is when you're standing around out there in the world, you're going to be the conversion guy. You're just spamming the channel like, hey guys, converting gold to platinum for 2% sales tax. Come see me.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, anything that you can do to make money in a game that isn't crafting, no offense to crafters, I'm just not a great crafter. That's all there is to it. If there's a way to make money a different way while I'm doing dungeons, that's great. But I don't know how much I'm going to be able to hold as a rogue. That's my only fear.
I mean, I'll probably have a little girlfriend that's always wanting me to hold her stuff.
Nice. Anything else stand out on the stream to you? So the coin weight was a pretty big drop because they reversed paths on that. And guys, I don't know how people feel about like the fact that they'll say this is where we are and this is where we think we want to be, and then they'll debate. And if a debate goes a certain way, they're going to try to do what's best. They have ideals that they want to stick to, but they still want the game to be fun. They still want it to matter. So with coin weight, they said, no, it's not going to. And then people internally and people testing like you need to have it. And now they have it again. So
I think that's probably the second biggest thing I took away was the fact that they're taking input. And I like the job it said, we discussed it on the inside and outside. So I like that.
Yeah. And guys, like 100% true. They listen, guys. They really do. You may not always get the things you want. I do not want a transmog toggle, and it sounds like there's going to be a transmog toggle, and I'm a loud, annoying person, and I'm just going to have to live with it, I guess. But I really blame Sacred, to be honest with you. So Hoye, you brought up the changing, the listening to the community, the coin weight. Where does that put this stream for you then?
Overall, I mean, I like that they understand that the UI is important, because I've played a ton of games that maybe they were good, but God, that UI was just awful, and stuff like that. And it really really kills the game. It just kind of makes me feel like the game is a little bit subpar just because of how the UI is.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, but at the same time, I'm like I said, I'm more of a meat and potatoes. Okay, yeah, they've got a good UI working. It's going, things are progressing. Okay, cool. But, compared to the Shaman video or, the ones before that, then, this one's good. It's what I expected. That's where I would rank it. Got what I expected, and, on to the next one.
Okay, so about where you expected. So you'd move it down a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, no problem, man. Awesome. Well, Hoye, thanks, buddy. And hopefully we'll see some more tanking stuff. You did get your threat refactor. We don't know what that means, but if it's working better, that's good.
Yeah, glad to see that.
See if you can keep, once we start playing, see if you can actually keep mobs off me. Good luck.
Well, thanks.
Take care, Hoye.
Take care.
All right, let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to bring Erikai in next, and then Stomp, you'll be after Erikai. Again, guys, just ping me if you have any questions. I will see it pop up in the chat there. But let's go ahead and bring in Erikai. I dropped Hoye. I left you in here and took me out. That's hilarious. All right, so Erikai, that was great. I moved myself out of the live room, and I gave Hoye 100% access to do whatever he wanted on the stream there, and I don't think he even knew.
He didn't even know the power he had.
He was just in charge of Pantheon PlusYou there and had no clue. That's great. Erikai, so what's going on, man? What'd you think of this? Is this a type of stream you would typically be excited for in advance? Before we even begin?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, people like different things. They like a class one, they like gameplay, they like somebody streaming, like a streamer. These types of streams, I think sometimes are when you look from the outside, they're viewed as a lower stream, like a talking point, a theory, talking about some of the inner workings. Are you someone who typically likes that style of a stream, or are you kind of usually like, kind of skeptical?
I'll just take whatever I can get. Really, the days leading up to this particular stream, I was not really looking forward to it that much. When they announced that it was going to be AI discussion, I was just like, okay, fine.
So how did it then play out? So you came in with lower expectations. And you watched it, you checked it out, you learned some stuff. Before you rated or anything, what were your takeaways? What were your positives?
Okay, so I have to give a caveat that I actually didn't catch the whole stream. I was able to catch about the first 15 minutes, and then my neighbor needed help with some tech stuff, so I had to drop it.
Did you tell him that we're social distancing to try to get out of it?
She's not doing it. Anyway, but I have to say that within those first 15 minutes made the stream for me. Like, really, I was content to put down, turn off the stream and come back later, because Joppa had said the thing that made me more excited than anything else in that first few minutes. And I was so stoked for it.
Coin weight.
You know it.
So tell me a little bit about why that's important to you, your experiences with it, and what's been missing in games that don't have it.
So I've been championing for this, mostly on Reddit and Discord for a long time, like a year, months or so. I've had comments and posts about why I think it's important. And I just think that it just makes the game more interesting. It makes you have to make interesting decisions. And I asked in Discord a few minutes ago, what's the point of even having denominations if coin weight doesn't matter? Why do we even have platinum? Why do we even have gold or whatever? Why not just carry around 80 billion copper? Because it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. Why do we even care? So I think that's an interesting aspect. I was really excited for whatever the fifth denomination is. We've been throwing around the word mithril, but we don't know.
It's blue too, right?
We don't actually know if that's what it is, but that's the name we've given it colloquially for now.
Well, hey, let's throw that out to Theric. Theric, we need you to go back and research medieval blue currencies throughout all the games and give us a list of what it could be.
If anyone can do it, he can do it.
Right? Yeah. It is interesting. And then you also wonder, is it something that's more valuable than money? Is it something like they said everything's going to transfer 100 to 1? What if that currency is a special currency?
Special in the sense that like it's purchased with real money or something?
Oh, don't even want to get into that conversation. No, maybe you find it separately.
I think so. Oh, I get you. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know I led into that. Hold on. Is Lexer here? Everybody calm down if Lexer's here. No.
So you're saying that it may not necessarily be that 100 platinum converts to one of whatever that is.
Like, what if you do like special quests, or you complete special events that are maybe time framed that kind of thing, and being part of these special events awards a special currency.
That would be pretty interesting, and I'd actually be pretty okay with that because I like the idea of the 100-to-1 ratio. Because I mean, even if you compare like World of Warcraft, they do the 100-to-1, but their currency stops at gold, and even then, gold is pretty valuable, right? Like at least in the beginnings, but we're going to get 100-to-1 all the way up to at least platinum.
Yeah,
and so I think that's just going to help control the economy in interesting ways, and it will make it valuable that we have these higher denominations. You can carry 1 platinum and have it not weigh you down, as opposed to carrying 100 gold, which might.
Now, since you've been a big proponent for this, do you want a monk class that has to manage the weight?
Absolutely, yes, 100%.
I do too, because Haya's a monk, and I'll probably be playing with him a lot, and I'll be like, well, dude, if you want to give me 200 gold, I'll give you a platinum for it.
Yeah, totally. And I used to do that. I mean, even as recently on the P99 Green server, I would load up with all the platinum I could hold, and I would head into Crushbone, and I'd say, hey, I'm doing trades, and people would throw me 300 gold for 3 platinum or whatever it was, and I would make money that way. I think that's such an interesting emergent possibility for gameplay, just for you to raise money just by being someone else's coin mule.
Yep, that's awesome. We just got a question I just want to throw out there because it just popped up here from EMK. He says he's an old French player of EQ1, currently returned to P99 after doing some TLP servers. I have a question about the language of the game. Is there a plan for Pantheon to be of several languages? I don't want to answer that for them, EMK, but I believe there will be a few different localizations. If you're talking about the games, like if you're saying, can I play Pantheon in French? I don't have the exact answer, but they definitely have a huge EU preference. So there is a good chance that there will be a few different languages the game's released in. Again, please do not quote me on that. I think they know where their fans are. If you're talking about in-game languages like Elf and such, that's actually a really good question. We're actually going to do a future Pantheon PlusYou episode on is, do you want to have racial languages that you have to learn? So that'll be something we'll be talking about later. But again, not a whole lot of info on that either. So those are 2 things that unfortunately I can't answer a ton for you. Erica, what else in the stream tonight? So the coin weight you were in on that, and you're good to go. We covered some stuff. I don't know if you caught the beginning of our show, like some of the different stuff they talked about. Anything out of there that really stuck out to you, or you just you were over the moon with that?
Yeah, I'm still on cloud 9 about the coin weight, so I'll have to go back and watch the rest of the stream and just make sure.
Awesome.
I did want to mention, gosh, I think my mind is blanking now. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned one more thing about the coin weight is I think it's really interesting to have to make the decision. If you're deep in a dungeon and you're starting to get encumbered, you make the decision of, do I throw away my money because I want to keep adventuring, or do I weigh myself down? And somebody asked in Discord, they said, why is destroying your money, why does that make the game interesting? And I said, destroying your money doesn't make the game interesting. Having to make that decision is what makes the game interesting. And so I just think coinless or weightless coin, it just dumbs down and waters down the game so much. And so when Joppa said that they were talking internally and they've decided to make, oh man, I tell you, I had my phone on my chest and I just started like pumping my fists. I was so excited. Like I said earlier, I've been championing for this for a while. And so this was just like, this was the thing, man. That one made this stream for me. So I'll shut up about that and I'll let you.
No, you're good, man. I'll ask you one last thing here. I know that you want to play. Me and you both want to play. Everybody who's in alpha wants to play, and we all thought we'd be playing by now, and we're not. And there's some of us that are better at it than others. I know you've jokingly said, the whole soon thing. Go back and do me a favor, because you didn't get to see it. I want you to watch Joppa when he says we are getting super close to PA5, and I want you to report back if you feel good about that, the way that he said it, or if you think you're just being led on more. Keep hearing soon. That was a moment. I may clip that and put it out there on Twitter and be like, guys, read Joppa. How close are we? So. Yeah,
I didn't catch it this time, but I have in the past. I've seen his smirks, and they're kind of telling. I love those Joppa smirks.
So get back to me with your theory on that. I'm interested to hear. I'll clip that out from their stream and then we'll check it out. So, what will you do? So what do you want to do with the meter?
So, dude, I mean, coin weight made it for me. I was so excited for it. So I think any of the other things that they talked about that I missed so far, I just think it's just got to put it up there for me. So, man, put it up.
Put it up. Okay, moving it up. Awesome. Eric, I thank you, buddy. I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, man.
Take it
Talk to you
easy.
later.
All right, guys, we're going to go to our last green room guest here. And if you guys haven't voted yet, please make sure to vote in the poll down there. You can see the command right next to, you'll see great stream. And then in parentheses, you'll see exclamation point, vote space, great. Anything in the parentheses there is how you vote. We have 26 votes so far. We will adjust the meter depending on what that looks like. So please, if you haven't voted, get your vote in real quick there so we can get that going. So let's go ahead and bring in Stomp. And it looks like Theric might actually jump in after. We'll see if he can or not, but we'll throw a Stomp over here. Stomp, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Did you get to catch the whole stream?
Definitely.
Awesome. So what are your thoughts? Tell me what stood out.
I mean, definitely the coin weight, which was kind of a surprise. Definitely like that. It brought about some questions in my mind, like if I'm having, if something costs 76 copper, I got a bunch of silver but no copper, will it still purchase it for me and just take it out of the silver, that type of stuff? I'm assuming it will, but that you don't actually need the specific money that it's asking for.
Yeah,
that made me think a little bit.
That is an interesting thing to think about there. And I wonder too, if when you buy back, does it pay you back in the same way that you spent?
Right.
Right. That's
like
you just made me think of that. Yeah. Like if you find a vendor out in the world, can you spend all your silver or all your copper buying stuff worth silver, then sell it all back real quick?
Yep.
That's actually pretty funny. So yeah, it's funny. I think that if you went to us Pantheon fans, we're a different breed. We're really supporting this game early on. A lot of us have played a lot of MMOs. A lot of us have experienced some of the older MMOs. But I think if you went to like someone who's kind of just digs into MMOs a little bit, played some of the modern stuff, not that there's anything wrong with that. And then you talk about coin weight. I think a lot of them would be like, what? Like, why is this important, right? But it's funny because back to back, two people coming in from the green room have been super into this. And to be honest with you, that was big news to me too. I highlighted it in yellow in my notes. Like this is cool.
Right.
So what is it? I mean, it's been missing, right? You've talked about having to make decisions. Do you, and they did say that they're looking at certain classes possibly having the weight issues. Are you good with that too? Like, are you okay with a monk like it was in EQ that they have to be less weight to be able to move quicker?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, monk's kind of on the top of my list to something I might be interested to actually main. And if this affects it, that's fine. I'll adjust, and that's part of the class, right? We don't want every class to be the same. We don't want everything to be the same across the board. So if that's something the monk has to do, that's like the mini game of the monk, and it's a mini game for everybody else in a way.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I do like that, talking about how it's a mini game. Did anything else stand out on the stream for you?
Yeah, lots of stuff. I got a whole bunch of notes here. Actually.
Oh, I like it. I like
the
it.
UI was great, and they all have pros and cons. It was still shaman type stuff, but that's fine. I mean,
yeah.
But that's three times in a row, shaman.
Yep. They're not spoiling any abilities. And trust me, as a guy trying to build a website, Joppa, help me out. Jeez, you should see me clipping these spells. I got all the shaman ones that you guys showed me in, but come on, lend me a hand.
The patch notes are always great. I think I've said it before, maybe, obviously not live, like in voice, but I've definitely mentioned it, showing me is better than telling me, right? So if you're reading off that list, it's great. It's definitely information that we want to know. And I hope Vandred was there to hear it because he's the one that, sort of pushed towards it. But I think if there's a screenshot to put up while they're, talking about whatever it is has updated, that'd be ideal, right? And that's even more ideal for other streamers like yourself and streamers like yourself to put it up on their site to get more eyes on the product, essentially.
Yeah, it's tough to write an article and drive hits where it is like, if you give me one picture, if you give Nathan one picture, it's 15 videos.
Right.
So
there you go. Yeah, so that's definitely, show more than tell as always. And I think, this time there were 4 guys, which is excellent. And, during Kyle, I'm not so sure. Some of the stuff he was talking about, I'm like, yep, sounds amazing. Can't wait. But I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
But, there's questions being not spammed, but going throughout the thing. And I hope one of those guys is, since there are 4 of them, that, during it, if they're not talking, or, only one of them is talking at a time, it's probably ideal for them to capture some of those questions that are going throughout the stream instead of waiting until the end where people have to repost them. So I think that'd be ideal.
Yeah, and I don't want to.
You can go through them a lot faster, right?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for them. I do know that they do take a lot of questions that they may not answer, but they know people are kind of interested in, right? They're pretty good with that, and they've taken stuff from here too. So I'm sure they're definitely coming over their own streams.
Yeah, and I think they sometimes put them on the forums too. So it's all good.
Yep. No, awesome, man.
Check.
But anything else?
Climbing, I thought was great.
Yeah.
Yep, and the way, like you said, the way Joppa sort of spoke about it, and the way his face looked, and how big of a deal it actually is. That should make a lot of people happy that they are getting closer to.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna clip that out, guys. If no one's done it yet, I'm gonna clip that out and put it on Twitter so you guys can watch his face. I'll zoom it in or something.
And maybe 2 other minor things I have. One of them is you could definitely call that final coin Eridu. The unannounced name for above platinum.
A McQuaid? A Quaid?
Yeah, or a Quaid.
A Quaid. Yeah. Oh man, everybody vote. Everybody spam VR with call the currency a Quaid. Oh my gosh, would that be sick? Yeah, an Aerodune works fine too, but a Quaid just sounds awesome. It sounds like a currency.
And then the final thing was, I think it was a question asked. I don't think anybody got it, but or answered it. But if you're dead, right, and you got to run back to your corpse, and it's in the middle of an acclimation area, how do the glyphs, or do you not have glyphs anymore because you're dead? That's a pretty good question.
That is a great question. I'm not gonna. What I'm about to say is not in. This is not official, guys. I would assume because of the way they explained it, that since they're tattooed on your physical body, I'm hoping those stay on you. That's a great question.
It's got to be that way. Otherwise, you never get your core.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really good, because if you can't survive there with your gear on, you need to be able to survive there with your runes on, at least to get your gear. So that's actually a really important thing to ask. And even think about it, even from this standpoint, if you don't have your gear on you, if you are naked and your gear's contributing to your acclimation, that's also important. So that's pretty important there. So that's a good question. That's a really great question. I hope they're listening. They can think about that. They probably have a plan in place, but maybe some of the conversation we've had will help them. So.
Yeah, it would probably go back to, the more fantasy, mithril or something. But
I think a Quaid is what it needs to be. I think we got a campaign for that. So Stomp, what would you do with the meter?
I think it's good where it's at. Maybe I would lower it slightly.
A little lower, okay.
Because again, I'm more of a visual, show me, don't tell me.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, cool. Stomp, thanks for jumping in, man. I appreciate it. We actually got a couple more people in the green room that we'll grab. Stomp, anytime, buddy. Thank you. Theric, I'm going to wait on you because it looks like we took the question from you. So let's go ahead and grab Thorndeep. Thorn, I see you in there. If you want to unmute your mic, and then I will bring you into the live room. Thorndeep, what is going on, my buddy?
Hey, good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. I hope everything is well. I hope the lockdown has treated you fine. First of all, how are you? How's the family?
They're good and healthy. Thanks for asking. Yeah, obviously crazy here as the whole world. So
yeah. So what'd you think of the stream? What stood out for you?
The more I think about it, I feel like it was a monster stream. The number of huge beans we got in this stream was incredible. I'm not a programmer, but just what Kyle talked about, how they're restructuring the whole code to give more functionality to other parts of the team, I thought was huge, because it just shows, helps to understand what the huge delay is, but then to see the payoff from that, because it's going to be able to speed up and the whole process and give more power to how they create the game. To me, that was just a huge reveal.
Yeah, that was really big. And I think, like you said, and even Stomp said, hey, he said a lot of really cool things. I'm not sure what he said, but it sounds like it's good. And don't be ashamed of that. There's a lot of people that play games. It doesn't make you a programmer. So a lot of that isn't necessarily easy to understand. Doesn't mean it makes you less of a gamer, but you're right? Like they tried to simplify it as best they can. Hopefully the way I explained it made it even more simple, but you're right. It's like building the game right instead of quickly is something that pays off in a way that is unexplainable for the growth of a game. Now, for like a single player game that you're going to spend 30 hours playing and be done with, it doesn't matter, right? You want to put it out quick, you can put it out quick because you may not even have any expansions and DLCs may be standalone. But for a game that's supposed to last us, Thorndeep, what, like how many years, right?
Hopefully 40.
Yeah,
40s.
right. It can last. It could be the last game we play, right? But anything that's going to be 10 plus years or whatever, it needs to be able to sustain, and that starts at day one. And there's a lot of companies, and what's happened to the MMO genre is people are about quick. They want to copy and they want to do it quick. And what's important is when they do it that way, they damage their expansion. They damage how the game plays in the future. They damage bug fixing. So we have to wait because they're doing it right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just totally agree with that. I mean, nails it. And then the second big reveal was coin weight to me.
People love it. People love the coin weight.
I am so excited to hear that. You read the tenants and everyone gets a different feel about kind of where the tenants will lead. And these sorts of decisions really give us a feel for what the feel that the developers want for the game.
Well, it's funny
too.
right?
I don't know if that makes sense.
Perfect.
But just we don't understand the full feel of what they're trying to create, and these kinds of decisions help us really get a sense of the feel of the game. And I think that's what people are looking for. They're looking for a game with a certain feel, a certain immersion to it. And it's these kind of decisions that let us see like how far along that immersion path, world path they're going to go.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing too is think about it. What you said there about the immersion, it's funny because everyone who's come on the show tonight and a majority of people in the chat have made that like the main point of happiness. And here's what's great about that. Joppa was someone who's like, I don't want to do that. It seems tedious. And then internally, people are like, whoa, Joppa, like we want to do this. And then externally, people are like, we want to do this. How funny is that? That's something that Joppa thought, it's kind of tedious. I don't know if people really want this anymore. But he was able to listen, change his own ideals, and look how happy people are. It's crazy.
Exactly. I mean, it just right there. Exactly. They're willing to test things out. And again, it's the idea that they're going for a specific feel. And if the decision whatever decision it is, it doesn't match that feel that they're going for, then they're going to make a change.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is beautiful and an amazing insight.
And one of the things we talk about a lot with Pantheon compared to games like WoW and other games like that is that Pantheon is not trying to be like every other game out there. That's an important thing to talk about, because if they just wanted to make things how things are, it's not going to be Pantheon. One of the big things that we want in this game is something different. And that means, and this is to everybody, this myself included, there are going to be things that we don't like. And that's okay, because it's going to be a big game. And with everything we don't like, there's probably going to be way more that we do like. And it's just a balancing act. Like if you don't like coin weight, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to like it. I don't want transmog to be toggled, but if it happens, I guess it's going to happen. What am I going to do? Am I going to not play? So at the end of the day, like there's going to be things that we don't like, but the game in itself needs to have its own soul. And to have its own soul, it can't just do everything the way that everybody wants and try to appease everybody, because then we're right back where we started.
Exactly. Yes, very true.
Awesome, Thorndeep. Anything else from the stream you wanted to chat about, or any other questions?
Well, actually, there's three, if you don't mind.
No,
again, these are all the big reveals. How in depth they went about the acclamation system, I thought was huge, because they gave us a ton of information. I mean, in all the reading between all the lines and stuff, a ton of information about how the acclamation system is going to work, and it's, to me, very exciting. I just love the complexity and, again, the immersion feel that it's going to bring to the game.
Yep.
Very excited about it.
Yeah, and it's built into everything. You know, with them talking about the combination side of it and how, you know, one acclamation, you're going to build yourself up and be like, yes, this area I can go into. But then in future endeavors, you're going to be hit with 2 of them. And then you're like, okay, well, I can handle 2. And then you're like, okay, I'm good, guys. I'm finally ready for these 2. Then boom, here's a 3rd. And you're like, oh no, what do we do?
Right.
It's built into the core game. It's not an add-on. A lot of times people see things like acclamation or climbing and they say, it's just this gimmick. Right. I hear that a lot. I hear when a game just adds something on the top, it's a gimmick. You know, the Wii, when it came out, all these motion controls are just added on top of games that weren't built for motion controls. It's a gimmick. Right. And these don't feel like gimmicks anymore. I think that at some point, people who thought that climbing was a gimmick for the game realize now it's not a gimmick. It's a piece of the game. It's what makes the game special. And it's exciting to hear, like you said, the way they're excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. And you brought us right into the next one, which is climbing. I mean, that's just huge that you can be able to climb anywhere or anything. You can see it. You can figure out a way to get up there. I mean, it doesn't mean that the first try you're going to be able to do it. You know, you're going to have the skill. And that's the other thing I like is that, you know, they've talked about the climbing skill and how you're going to have to improve it. And it's going to allow you to climb different things. And that's so, that too has just a huge dimension to the game.
Yeah, I agree. And while we're here, if you don't mind, we got a comment in the chat that's really good. I'm going to read it real quick from Stands and Fire. He says, it's a huge point to make. We have to look at this as something that we're going to each of us won't be 100% on board with every design choice. But we have to figure that just means that we may not like something, but it might be what keeps somebody we play with stoked about the game in the long term. It's not going to push us away. We may not like it, but it might keep somebody else, right? That's like crafting. Like, I'm not a big crafter. I don't have a problem with crafting. I choose to be in dungeons killing things. I choose to be in dangerous situations. I don't get a lot out of gathering. It gets monotonous to me. There's days where I've said in WoW, I'm going to play all day and I'm going to gather and get my gathering up. And I last 10 minutes and I'm like, anybody doing a dungeon run? Because I can't, it doesn't keep my interest. But at the same time, while I can tell you, like, if a game didn't have crafting, I'd be okay with it. I understand that if this game didn't have crafting, you would lose a ton of people, right? So there are things that you need to have in the game that aren't going to hurt people that dislike them, but are going to encourage people that do. And I think it stands in fire. You perfectly said that. So I loved it. So thank you for that. And yeah, like you just said, we were talking about climbing and getting back into that. Like, again, it's not a gimmick. This is the real deal. This is why the game's being built. And I love that. So
yeah, to make a real world.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then the very last one is, you know, the soon. That the way Joppa said it to me was huge. It just feels like PA5 is very, very close, which is exciting. I mean, that's just so exciting.
It's very close. It's very close. I might have to use that stimulus check to get into the pre-alpha testing.
Oh, God.
Is that bad? Is that essential? I think it's essential.
I feel you.
Oh, let's hope the economy opens. I can get back to work and I could just use that, you know, for pre-alpha access. Okay. Thorn Deep, anything else for the group tonight?
No, that does it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. What do you want to do with that red meter? You want to move it up, keep it where it's at, move it down?
To me, I'd move it up. Like I said, this was a monster of a stream. Lots of great info for people to talk about.
Awesome. Moved it up a little bit. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming in. It's good talking to you again.
Yep. Take care.
Theric, I don't know if you have any other questions. I know the one you had got answered, but let's bring you in anyway. I just talked to you about how things are. I miss you, buddy. I'm bringing you down in if you want to unmute your mic and your headphones. Let's see if we can get him to do that. I brought him in. He's still muted, though. He might not be here anymore. Does anybody have any fun things to say in chat about Theric? Oh, here he is. There he is.
Yeah.
What's up, Theric?
Not a lot.
Anything from the chat that really stood out or anything that was brought up that you just want to talk about?
No, we answered the one question from chat. So, no, I mean, a lot of good points. I think the climbing thing is what's got me so excited. Like the same things Thorndeep was saying. It's so huge. It's such a big feature. And we've commented on Joppa's Breath of the Wild mug before, right? He's clearly his inspiration for the whole climbing mechanic, because in that game, climbing is huge in that game. And that's one of the one of the reasons I love that game like a lot. And to think that we're going to have that level of climbing in Pantheon is amazing. If you think back to that Amber Fate stream, remember when they were demoing some of the ledge grabs?
Yep.
And the way they described it was they said, we don't say what can be climbed, we say what can't be climbed, right? So it's a much smaller list. So even then you can see that the trail was leading to this idea of everything is climbable, which I think is 100% the right direction to go.
What do you think of calling the new currency a Quaid?
I don't know. I'm not feeling the Quaid, man.
Not feeling the Quaid?
No, the Aradune is okay. I think it's better than the Quaid.
Okay.
I think we haven't found it yet. I'm going
Right.
to say it's still out there in the ether somewhere.
Well, if you don't think of something, it's going to be called the Ronick, and we can't have that happen.
Oh no, we can't have the Ronick. it would either die or it would electrocute all of us.
Expiring currency. Real quick, what do you? We talked about this in private talk, talking about future episodes of Pantheon PlusYou, and we talked about language, and it was not brought up, but it was brought up because it was. What do you think about languages for races? You think they got to be there? We won't get into a huge conversation, but
I do. I think that they do need to be there. Something that we talked about, and I think somebody else made the point of, if you don't have language specific to the races, and if you don't have that as a mechanic in the game where you're learning different languages, why? How do you explain the different names of the NPCs in the world, right?
Smart.
So you're not going to
see
elves with the same names as gnomes and ogres and all that stuff. So you do need to have some basis for that. It can't just be sort of unexplained. So
we'll leave the rest of that discussion for a future episode, guys. Well, that's something we've wanted to talk about, and that's there's a lot to talk about there, so we can get into that in another time. Derek, thank you, buddy. What did you think of the stream?
No problem.
What would you do with the meter?
You know what? I actually voted average, just because for me the ones where I'm just a visual sort of whatever, just anything visual or lore hits that sweet spot for me. This stuff is important. I get it. I don't want to say anybody's wrong to think it's great. It is great for everybody. For some people, for me it's average. When we see more visual treats or lore, I'll be more excited.
Awesome. Well, Derek, thank you. I'm gonna throw you back up and we'll end this stream on a good note there, so appreciate it, man.
Sure. Later, dude.
All right, guys, so let's go ahead and the meter is where it is from the people who came into the green room and talked to us. And keep in mind in the future, if you enjoyed being on the show and talking in chat, everybody is welcome to jump into that green room. That's in our Discord, which I'm going to link real quick here for you. Spell it right this time. So if you want to join us, it's just a community. We play a lot of MMOs together, but we're all Pantheon all the time. So while we're playing other MMOs, we're talking about, would you like this in Pantheon? And it's just kind of a fun community. It's a really good group of people, but more importantly, if you want to get on Pantheon PlusYou or keep up to date with the news, you can do that there. Everybody is welcome. So let's look. I'll give you guys one last second here if you guys want to vote. We have 28 votes in. We currently have 48 people watching. We've had up to 60 something watching. So if you guys want to vote, I'm going to give you the last chance to vote here. If you look at the voting box right by my face here, you'll see great stream, average stream, and below average, and you'll see how to vote for them in the parentheses beside. So if you type those, it'll actually adjust the meter. So I'll give you guys again a quick second here to vote. If you've already voted, it won't let you do it again. So you guys should be able to get some votes in, hopefully. There you go. Let's move it around a bit. There you go. So a couple more minutes here, then I'll let you guys, and we'll close that up. We got 31 votes in. It's moving a little bit. You guys are actually a lot of average votes, which isn't a bad thing. Average votes here for the stream. We only have one vote for below average, so most people are pretty excited about it. So we're closing up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's go ahead and close the poll. So I'm gonna hit close. Actually, let's reopen it just so you can see it. But we're at 69% great stream, 27% average stream, and 1% below average. So that tells me we're pretty close to where that would be. 67% say good stream, great stream. I'd say maybe move it up a tiny bit. Well, then we move up that red meter a tiny bit to represent what everybody thought there. So we'll go up to about there. So that should put it pretty correct. Thank you to everybody who followed. Draxus, I don't think I gave you a shout out. You followed us a bit ago, so thank you for that. Really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who jumped in and joined the Discord tonight in the general chat. I saw you in there. I didn't get a chance to welcome you. Next week, we do have our show planned for Pantheon PlusYou. We're actually going to be talking about crafting. We're actually going to have Nafael from Pantheon Crafters is going to come on and be a co-host with me because I know very little about crafting and I think we need an expert for it. So we're going to be bringing an expert of the crafting community in. He has spent a ton of time, has a whole website devoted to the small details they've gotten about crafting. We're going to talk about why crafting is important. We're going to talk about, different games and how their crafting systems have worked and what we'd like to see in Pantheon. So hopefully we can see you guys out next Thursday night at 9:00 for that. But until then, thank you, everybody. Awesome time with the recap here. Thank you guys for lighting that chat up. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys like the changes here. It's hopefully a little more interactive for you guys. I didn't see the emote wall going crazy, but we'll have to get some work going on that. And I think I need to make a few more channel specific emotes as well. So thank you guys. Really do appreciate everything. Thank you for the interaction in the poll tonight. That was great. And again, thank you to everybody who followed. We'll see you next week.